كمزمار من مزامير آل داود متفق عليه. Before I start, a humble request to the brothers at the back. If you need to go, then you may leave the masjid. But if you plan to stay, then it would be better if you join the gathering rather than talking at the back when the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is being recited. So my dear respected brothers, elders, listeners, the hadith I have recited is the merit of this great companion Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. And from the previous duru's before, we have selected some companions and we've learned about the excellent qualities that they had in their lives and what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had mentioned about them. So one companion that we will learn about today is Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, and the distinctions that he had, the qualities that he had, and the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had blessed him with. Abu Musa radiyallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, "O Abu Musa, you have been granted a sweet voice that is a portion of the sweet voice of Dawood alayhi salam." The Arabic word mizmar is usually referred to a musical instrument, but here refers to the sweetness of the voice. We all know Dawood alayhi salam was blessed with a very beautiful voice. Allah has mentioned in the Quran, يُسَبِّحْنَا بِالْعَشِيِّ وَالْإِشْرَاقِ إِنَّا سَخَّرْنَا الْجِبَالَ مَعَهُ. That even the mountains and the birds, they would sing with Dawood alayhi salam when he would recite the book. They would listen and ponder. This is Dawood alayhi salam. From one of the blessings he had, he was blessed with a very beautiful voice. And like from this, from the companions, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu was blessed with a very melodious, beautiful voice. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would listen and enjoy the qira'ah and the recitation of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would listen to him. So let's learn a little bit more about this companion. His name was Abdullah. He embraced Islam in Makkah al-Mukarramah. And he was one of those that had migrated to Abyssinia. He returned from there when the Prophet ﷺ was at Khaybar. We all know the story of Khaybar, which is in the 7th year of Hijrah. In the time of Umar radiallahu anhu, he was appointed as a governor of Basra. And then he was discharged from this duty, and then he went to the place called Kufa. And then he was asked again by Uthman radiallahu anhu, the third Khalifa of the Muslims, if he can be appointed again as a governor. And then he was appointed again till Uthman radiallahu anhu was martyred, and Ali radiallahu anhu had dismissed him. Abu Musa radiallahu anhu, then he moved to Makkah al-Mukarramah. He passed away in 52 years after Hijri. The next hadith also will shed light on his virtues. And Anas radiallahu anhu قال جمع القرآن على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أربعة: أبي بن كعب ومعاذ بن جبل وزيد بن ثابت وأبو زيد. قيل لأنس: من أبو زيد؟ قال: أحمد عمومتي. متفق عليه. Anas radiallahu anhu said, in the time of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Quran was gathered, meaning committed to memory. So actually, memorizing the Quran is like gathering it, committing it to memory. It's safeguard. Allah mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. That Allah has sent the Quran, And Allah is the one that has revealed the Quran. And Allah has taken upon Himself to safeguard the Quran. So Allah has produced Huffaz and millions of them throughout the world. This is a way of Quran being preserved. No matter how many Qurans that will be burnt, but word to word, letter to letter, it can be brought back. This is a miracle. There's no other book, there's no other literature that can be brought back in such a way. Millions of Huffaz that have committed, spent time memorizing the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have some that were from the Sahabas that had also memorized the Quran. So there's some that have been mentioned in this hadith. Number one, the chief of Qadis of this ummah, who was Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu, and in his recitation in the science of Tajweed, he was the chief of the Sahabas. وَأَقْرَأُهُمْ أُبَيُّ بْنُ كَعْبٍ. He was the chief. He was a hafiz of the Quran also. He was appointed by Umar radiallahu anhu to lead the Muslims in Taraweeh in his time also. Number two, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, who was the mufti of this ummah. He also committed the Quran into memory. He was sent to Yemen to teach the people about Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned many ahadith in his virtue. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed his love that he had for Mu'adh ibn Jabal. Zayd ibn Thabit, also a great companion, who was, his speciality was in inheritance issues. And Abu Zayd radiallahu anhu. So these were four companions that have been mentioned in this hadith. Apart from that, we have many other Sahabas that were Hafiz. The four Khulafai Rashidin, Hazrat Abu Bakr, Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Uthman, Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, they all four had memorized the Quran. So this, and many companions from the Ansar and the Muhajirin that had memorized the Quran. So this is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, memorizing the Quran, and many of the Sahabas had memorized it. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy. There's a structure, a way, a method, a format that we can follow and memorize the Quran. It could be a means of forgiveness for ourselves, for our children also. Merits of Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu, a young companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today our youngsters listen to these young companions, how they spend their life, what was luxury. They understood what luxury was. The ones that have luxury, and then when they embrace Islam, what happened? Khabbab ibn Arat radiallahu anhu, the narrator of the hadith is Khabbab, who went through so many sacrifices also for deen. We emigrated to Medina alongside with Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, seeking Allah's pleasure. You must remember, hijrah was done only for the sake of Allah. فَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. Migrating from one place to the other, they say it was only for Allah's pleasure, nothing else. Our reward is assured from Allah. There were those of us who died before receiving the reward in this world. Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu was one of them. He was martyred at the Battle of Uhud, which was in the third year, the second battle of the Muslims. He was martyred. Nothing could be found which could enshroud him except a stripped cloth like a leopard skin that he had on him. When his head was covered with it, his feet became exposed. And if it was stretched over his feet, his head was bare. The Prophet ﷺ said, cover his head with it and put his head over his feet, is leaven, grass. And there were others amongst who survived till that fruit, meaning having they seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given them the benefit where they had taken part in the world as well, and then they also had benefit in this world and in the hereafter. But Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu, great companion, who was martyred in the Battle of Uhud. Now Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu, before we move on to his life, he also had memorized the Quran. Massabih ibn Umar radiallahu anhu was one of those in the first Aqaba, a second Aqaba. He went to Madinatul Munawwara. He was sent by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What was the mission and the purpose? To go and teach people Quran. He went door to door and house to house and taught people about Islam and taught people about the Quran. And then he gathered people and sought permission from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and led the people in Salatul Jumu'ah, the Friday prayer, the khutbah and the prayer. He also committed the Quran in memory. But what we know about him now is about his life. Before he had become a Muslim, he was a Quraysh, and he had embraced Islam before Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to Darul Arqam. He also had migrated to Abyssinia. He also had participated in the Battle of Badr. And we've learned about he was sent to Medina to teach people about Quran. But the thing now is that before his pre-Islamic days, he lived a very luxurious life. The fragrance that he used, the clothes that he wore, hundreds and dirhams they were worth. He had lived a very luxury life, but when he accepted Islam, what happened? His family had turned him away. And they beat him and left him and disowned him. Where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on one occasion, he saw him wearing a blanket with a leather belt on his waist. This was his condition. The Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, look at him, whose heart Allah has made radiant with the light of faith. In Makkah, his parents fed him with the best of food and the best of garments. Now, the love of Allah and His Messenger ﷺ has brought him to this state, where he had nothing. And we just heard in the hadith, in the end of his life in Uhud, there was not even enough kafan to shroud him. But in terms of the reward that they had with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how many of the Ansar, the helpers that he had preached Islam to, and how many he had benefited. And this is the verse which Allah has mentioned about these companions. مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا آهَدُوا اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. Among the believers are men who are true to the covenant they made with Allah, what promise they made with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they were true in making this promise. This is the Sahabas when it was time to give their life, time to let go of luxury life, let go of everything they left for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that deen there's no shortcoming in deen. That how deen can get to every household. For this they gave everything. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand and to spread unto others. Ameen. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillah.